Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're decoding the rapidly shifting landscape of engineering careers, and we're going to extract some highly actionable insights from the absolute latest placement data and tech trends. If you've been paying even a little bit of attention to the tech market lately, you know things are changing at just a blistering pace. What worked a decade ago, heck, even 5 years ago, is absolutely no longer a guaranteed ticket to success. So in this explainer, we're going to look at the hard data and figure out exactly what it actually takes to thrive in this totally new environment.
But before we even get into the numbers, we really have to ask a critical question. Why are top, incredibly smart engineers suddenly failing modern tech interviews? And honestly, is the traditional engineering path finally dead? For decades, the path was super clear. Get into a top-tier college, pick a safe branch, and basically just ride the wave of campus placements into a really comfortable corporate job. But recent data and some massive industry shifts are strongly suggesting that this old equation is fundamentally broken.
All right, so here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We're going to break this down into 5 parts. First, the placement reality. Second, the broken script. Third, how top tech hires. Fourth, the AI disruption. And finally, we'll wrap up with the new playbook. Let's dive right in.
So, kicking things off with Section 1, the actual engineering placement reality. We really need to look at the hard truth here.
Because when we strip away all the emotional fluff and the glossy college marketing, the evidence tells a very different story. Take the recent IIT Bombay report as a perfect example. Elite institutions are relying heavily on internships and pre-placement offers, or PPOs, as the true signals of actual job quality. A major influence on a student's career path today is the internship they take. In fact, out of 1,267 internships at IIT Bombay, 1,177 were company offers. The conversion of those internships into full-time roles through PPOs is rapidly becoming the ultimate benchmark for placement success, rather than those chaotic day-one hiring sprees we used to see.
And colleges absolutely love to flex their average package. But honestly, that number is kind of a marketing myth. It gets heavily skewed by the top 0.5% grabbing a 1 crore international offer. The real metric you absolutely must look at is the median package. For top IITs and NITs, that realistically sits around 15 to 22 lakhs per annum. And what about that giant billboard with a wall of 50 top recruiter logos? It means literally nothing if Microsoft only hired 2 students, right? You have to look at the top recruiter headcount and the specific branch-wise breakdown to understand what's actually going on.
Moving right along to Section 2, let's talk about the broken career script and why the playbook you were probably handed is totally outdated.
So the whole pressure cooker environment of entrance exams, that was built for a completely bygone era, an era where specialized engineers were needed for heavy machinery and civil infrastructure. Today, that old societal script is actively harming you. The cycle goes like this. You exhaust yourself to crack a competitive exam, you finally get a job, and then you immediately start looking to switch for a bump in pay. Then you get trapped paying off EMIs for lifestyle inflation, like buying an expensive phone just for the social status. All that does is leave you incredibly vulnerable to layoffs. The modern, resilient framework demands that we completely shift our incentives. We need to deepen our technical expertise, actually build a portfolio of real-world applications, and compound our value over time.
Which brings us to Section 3. If the old script is broken, let's look at how top tech actually hires today, way beyond just looking at an elite college tag.
Look, decades ago, companies hired exclusively from elite colleges simply because those schools held all the insanely expensive physical hardware you needed to practice engineering. Today, a laptop and the internet have completely democratized access to computer science. Relying purely on an elite institution tag is pretty much useless if you can't actually build. FANG companies evaluate you methodically now. First, they want to see hands-on coding, no shortcuts. Second, unseen system design. How do you scale this thing for 1 billion users? Third, a deep dive into a specific use case you've actually solved in the past. If you haven't built real things, you literally cannot fake this stage. And finally, they look for manager and culture fit.
Actually, here's a fascinating little side note on the psychology of hiring. Managers at places like Netflix and Microsoft use something called the bar raiser rule. This means you don't just have to be good, you have to actively elevate the team's baseline. They are explicitly directed that any new candidate coming in must be better than at least 75% of the existing team. They aren't just filling empty seats, they are continuously pushing their own standards higher.
Okay, Section 4. This is the big one. Let's talk about the AI engineering disruption and the massive shift happening in software right now.
Just look at this number, 180%. That is the staggering year-over-year job posting growth for Gen AI roles right now. Global enterprise investment in AI-powered software development just blew past $18 billion in 2024. Startups and massive enterprise giants alike are practically racing to embed generative capabilities into their products. So if you're a traditional full-stack developer who only really knows React and maybe a basic database, your skill set isn't just outdated, it's rapidly becoming completely commoditized.
It really boils down to this urgent reality, what we call the AI litmus test. If an AI tool can reduce a task that used to take you 10 days down to just 1 day, and you aren't leveraging it, well, you are practically eliminating yourself from today's competitive market. This is the absolute baseline for any professional right now. If you're a final year student and you haven't built an end-to-end application leveraging AI, and instead you're just relying on your ability to answer textbook questions about operating systems, you are going to struggle immensely to get hired.
So how do we actually adapt to all of this? Let's hit our final section, Section 5, the new career playbook. Currently, only about 45% of engineering graduates in India are actually considered job-ready. To bridge that gap, you absolutely must master the modern AI tech stack. What does that look like? Well, 96% of AI-enhanced job postings require React or Next.js. You need to know how to seamlessly integrate LLM APIs from OpenAI or Anthropic. You've got to understand orchestration frameworks like LangChain and how to leverage vector databases for semantic search. The market has moved so far beyond standard MERN stack training, it's all about these advanced, intelligent product deployment skills now.
And mastering this stuff, it pays off. Big time. Projected upper salaries for full-stack machine learning engineers are reaching up to 82 lakhs over the next 5 years. Full-stack Gen AI roles are projected to see a 130 to 160% salary appreciation, which significantly outpaces the growth in traditional non-AI roles. Sure, there are premiums for things like sustainability tech and chip design, but AI integration remains hands down the most explosive growth sector.
But how do you stand out beyond just having a nice resume? The crucial takeaway here is that shipping real projects totally beats passive certifications. You have to prioritize project-based learning and actually building complete products using AI-assisted workflows, rather than just relying on what your college teaches you. Build a GitHub portfolio of working Gen AI applications. Master prompt engineering. It's not an optional extra anymore. It is a core engineering fundamental. And hey, if you can combine domain expertise, say in fintech or healthcare, with these full-stack AI skills, you are going to face dramatically lower competition.
I want to leave you with this absolutely brilliant final thought from our sources to really chew on. The full-stack developer who ignores Gen AI is becoming the developer who ignored mobile in 2010. In this globally connected, hyper-competitive tech environment we're in, the tools are out there, and the knowledge is entirely accessible to anyone with an internet connection. So the question is, are you deepening your skills to build the future, or are you actively choosing to be left behind by clinging to the old script? Keep learning, keep building, and I will see you in the next explainer.